Hello and welcome back to Farm Last Promise 0% Growth's Low-Turn Template version 2. This video will be tackling Chapter 8. This chapter has the second emblem weapon that we can pick up. We give the energy ring from the previous chapter to Shon. He needs it in order to make some later 2-hit KOs possible, and unlike the other stat boosters, Shuda doesn't use it all that well. This chapter has, as per usual with difficult chapters and indoor chapters, high enemy density, and a lot of 1-2 range enemies that are really annoying to deal with. Thankfully, we have a lot of mounted units that are able to one-round or one-shot enemies, especially annoying ones. And we have a newly joined hero named Noah. Forgot to talk about his stats in the last chapter because of how short it was, but he has 29 HP, which is really good, 13 defense, 12 strength, and 15 speed. Those are all the important ones. We have Sia and Shuda on the bottom right side. In the past run, that was Arthur and Tamiko instead, and Shuda helped with pushing through the rest of the chapter, but by rescue dropping Noah closer to the top, and having him with a hand axe equipped, we're able to significantly increase the chances of success in this chapter. Shuda and Sia can work together to kill the 2 cavaliers on the bottom right, which is important because one of them has a droppable speedwing. We need that speedwing for probably obvious reasons. It is a stat booster and this is 0% growths. And we give it to Althares of all people because our thief needs more speed to steal. Shon needed to dodge one of those attacks on this last enemy phase, and he managed to do so. The chances of it happening are pretty low, but it's at least what happened, so it was convenient. Noah having axe access is very helpful because he's able to just use a steel axe to muscle through enemies that he has no right to fight with any other weapon type. I mentioned we pick up the second emblem weapon on this chapter. It's the Emblem Blade. The Emblem Lance is a weapon I've mentioned and forgot to talk about completely. All emblem weapons have really low might, a couple points less than iron weapons, but they are actually effective against literally every enemy in the game. The downside of this is that they're only 2x effective. So what this means is the Emblem Lance has 4 might, so it's 8 might against every enemy in the game. However, because of how the effective weapon damage formula works, if it's fighting an axe enemy, it has 6 might. If it's fighting a sword enemy, it has 10 might, which has come up a couple of times to let Shon get kills with it against things like Myrmidons and Mercenaries he otherwise wouldn't be able to. Should I have talked about this in the past? Absolutely, I just completely forgot to. Siegfried having access to the Killer Lance means that his offense against all the enemies that he fights in this chapter is pretty much perfect. He's able to use a Javelin or the Killer Lance to kill what he needs to. His chance of death in this chapter is actually decently high for the first time in a while. There's a couple of units you can technically recruit in this chapter, being the soldier in that bottom cage on screen, the monk, who is actually not a monk, he's a specific class called a vagrant, that is basically the dancer. That unit is Anakin, actually. All 3 of these units leave if you recruit them in this chapter, and don't join again until the start of Anakin mode. They also automatically join at the start of Anakin mode, so there's no real reason to grab them here. They don't really provide anything of value beyond a couple of lances that we'd be able to pick up anyway. It's an iron lance and a javelin, I believe, for each of the 2 lance-using units, and then a single lightning tome off of Anakin. All that would actually end up doing is complicating a chapter that's already decently difficult, which is annoying, to say the least. Getting that 3% crit is decently helpful, because it means that Siegfried is able to push ahead and just heal himself up now. So he's able to clear out the throne room ahead of time. In the past, I've rigged a low % crit with Noah against the boss because I thought I would have to be super anal about his sword rank, but no, as it turns out, it's really simple actually. His sword rank or his axe rank never matter. He has the ranks to use whatever weapon he would ever need to with the B rank that he joins with. In both of them. At the end of this chapter, I'm gonna have to take over the movie file, which means I'm gonna have to switch over to live commentary instead of post, which is slightly annoying, but whatever. Althares needs to dodge one of the 2 attacks that goes for him from these soldiers, but the odds of it happening are not too terrible. We have to spend a little bit of time clearing the throne room out instead of pushing towards the left chest in that treasure room. That has the emblem blade. However, that does mean that we're able to accomplish a little bit more of the side objectives that we're going for, so hey. We're able to use the emblem lens to get the kill because of the effectiveness that it had. We'd be able to use an iron lens too, but the emblem lens has no reason to not use it, so. With a slight RN burn here from Sia, we're able to come in and kill a boss that would look a little bit familiar to people who have played TMGC. Kind of. She has a similar portrait to one of the bosses in TMGC, just slightly different colored. We give the Lance Reaver because this cav is also going to drop something and we'd rather not toss anything. Getting enough items is just useful. It's a free Iron Sword, and Shuda's Iron Sword is already pretty damaged, so at the very least it's a free Iron Sword. As I already said. All that needs to happen is Ace needs to stay alive, which is decently likely. And all of our other units need to stay alive, obviously. Shuda's able to double that Thief, because Thieves actually have pretty pathetic stats in this game. I burned the RNs here too early, but it doesn't really end up mattering. Originally, Noah was supposed to hand axe the armor knight beneath the door, but hey, it ended up working out. Noah was able to two-round that armor knight with the steel axe, which is very nice because we need access to that throne room. Now it is time for me to take over. We're going to be giving the short bow over to Shon in exchange for the piercing sword. We're going to be taking the Killing Edge in exchange for Chest Key and give the short bow for the steel sword. Shon's going to open the door. As a result, we're able to open this, get the emblem blade on Noah, and toss the short bow, which is not the least useful auto item. That would actually end up being the chest key, but whatever. It's consistent with my notes. We just use the speedwing on Althares here, just to free up the slot in the inventory for the next chapter. With that, that has been Chapter 8, cleared in 6 turns. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time for Chapters 9 and 10. Goodbye.